Good afternoon. How are we? Good. Fantastic. Good to hear. Hopefully you still can take on some more information. I'm trying to make it easy and digestible, which is a bit difficult. I'm German. We are not really known for humor and so on, but I'll promise I'll do my very best. Yeah. So that was a good opening so far. Good for me. That worked. So as said, my name is Christian. I'm CIO for Volkswagen Financial Services here in the UK since last September. And I want today share with you my personal journey in how we attempted to try business agility from an IT perspective, focusing on leadership and culture, which are, from my personal experience and viewpoint, the two single most important criteria if you decide to stay relevant, if you want to be ahead of competition, if you want to be successful in whatever kind of transformation you are running through. So this is not an overly academic, let's say, presentation. It's more about that I'm sharing with you real-life examples, what an anonymous meeting minute taker is, and what that has to do with culture, and so on, how we have learned, what we have done, and I'm more than happy to talk with you afterwards about your experience, what have you done, what has worked, and yeah, I'm more than happy to chat with you. Good. A bit of context before we really go into details, and I think we have talked about this throughout the whole conference. The world today is characterized with high uncertainty. Technology, software is evolving at near exponential rates. It's very disruptive, and so on and so on. You have heard all this, so I don't spend too much time on this. It's more for me important to share what we have done in our organization, which I think is fair to say. I think we are, if you look at Wikipedia, in Wikipedia under what is a traditional company, you definitely find our name on it. So when I came to the UK, people asked me, Christian, why the hell do we need to change? We have always achieved our targets. Yeah, our employees are happy. Our customers are satisfied. Yeah, what is it? Why do we need to change? Why is someone coming from lovely headquarters saying, now it's time to change? And we have, which no one sees, a necessity. Within IT, we try to describe it that we are playing a different game. So in the past, especially a company of our size, we played the big fish against the small fish. If we couldn't compete, we simply acquired a company that did. Yeah? But today we are playing a different game, and that is clearly we needed enough time and patience to explain the why. Why do we need to change? And we talked about purpose, intent, analyzing the landscape, and so on and so on. So I'll just go quickly through it, and because it's more important for me, how have we convinced the whole organization that this way forward, this new way of working and thinking, the new behavior that we need is the right way to go. So we have said we are playing the big fish against the fast fish. And who the hell is that fast fish? So fast fish these are new digital incumbents, startups, new mergers that we see across industry, which we have never thought of in the past. So they all are taking bits and pieces away from our value chain, and that is what we are not used to. Yeah, we have always been successful, and we believed how to play the game. Yeah, we told our customers that is what you need to buy, and so on and so on. But and I think we have seen that in the morning session when Mick presented that. Yeah, all these tech giants. Yeah. They are thinking completely differently. So we needed to learn from them, and that was the first step for us to really embrace a new mindset and think differently. So we also talked about customer centricity, and I think earlier we talked about strategy, and in many of the strategies you find we need to be customer-centric, and so on, right? So it really made click when we went to one of the startups called Supermoney here in London, and we asked them, how do you do robotics process automation? I think that's on many of your agendas, right? So what is it that you are doing differently to us? And we explained how we think, how we do it. And he said, Christian, you are completely missing the trick. You still have not understood. I said, thanks for the good feedback. Normally you don't get that clear feedback in the UK. Yeah, thanks for that. He said, make it very easy. Go backwards. What is the outcome that you want to achieve? Yeah, and go from there. Use then technology and software in order to make it happen. Don't try to digitalize your old crappy traditional processes. That will definitely not work. So for us, again, we also talked about unlearning. We had a fantastic workshop with Barry O'Reilly, where everyone said, or most of the people said that was the best workshop I ever had, because we talked about unlearning a few things. And we have a lot of knowledge in our organization. But how can we use that and at the same time also embrace new ways of working, implementing new behaviors, and so on and so on. So then we looked at our own IT department, and I'm tremendously proud of my IT colleagues. They have worked their butt off always in the past. Fair to say, as a traditional company, we focus on stability, compliance, security. Don't get me wrong, this is absolutely right and absolutely necessary, because you need to have your foundations in place, otherwise you can't do all the sexy things, right? But the customer didn't really, felt it. Yeah? So our developers said, Christian, we don't need to change. We are doing DevOps already. This is awesome. I said, okay, good. So I went to my release management guys. How often do we deploy? Once a quarter. Good, thanks. Hey, dear my lovely developers, how often are you deploying? Well, I could deploy every day. Thanks, good. Okay, so I had basically two different versions, and then I said, let's look from a customer perspective. They are not happy. We asked for feedback, which, it was as expected. We are too slow, we don't know whom to talk, and IT costs too much. I'm pretty sure you all have heard of that already. So clearly for us, there was a moment to say, we obviously need to do things differently, and I have always quoted that. For my colleagues, we are, especially in a financial services institute, IT is in these days, next to the capital market, the single biggest threat for a financial services institute. Yeah? That sounds harsh on the one hand, yeah, because we are a risk, but at the same time, we can be an enabler, and I like to win. Yeah? When I play, I like to win. I like to make the company better relentlessly on a day-to-day basis, not bigger. Yeah? So we very often use that phrase, and I'll come to that later on in a minute. So how have we started that? There's a bit of context. What was our starting point? We needed to get everyone on the same pitch, yeah? Because it's very easy to be on the pitch, to run like hell, to pass the ball, and then you have tons of coaches around you understand it, saying, Christian, can you do a little faster? Pass the ball over there. It's very easy, but they never felt the pain that I feel. So I needed to make sure that I get not only all my IT colleagues on one pitch, also the rest of the company. And we have done that through various, initiatives. Nevertheless, the first thing that we have done was to analyze our ecosystem, or I think earlier one of the guys called it landscape. So we went out to tons of companies, and I'm very happy that Rob Negus is here from ARM today. The first company that we went to were actually ARM, and I was absolutely fascinated in how they have transformed their own organization. We have been to other companies, we've been to Sainsbury's, to tons of companies in London, and so on and so on. And we derived three main things that we are relentlessly implementing today. So one is that is something that you have heard in the morning, that makes me a bit proud, so we are not completely wrong. It's moving from projects to products. If we look at our own history of how we have done projects, I think we have fooled ourselves a little bit. Normally, we thought big, we started big, it needed to cost millions and needed to take 2-3 years, and we had 150 specification documents signed, and so on and so on. And then we IT guys locked ourselves in a room. We did everything that was described, yeah? And then we opened the door and believed all the magic can now happen. Unfortunately, it didn't, because the world moved on. Yeah, we talked about uncertainty, speed of change, which is maybe the single most challenging criteria for us in these days. So there was obviously something wrong, but then it got even better. So what have we done then? We had several options. Sometimes we have thrown money on it, and we extended the timeline. Suddenly it got green, we celebrated ourselves. Yeah? Or we are really cool in descoping. Actually, it's enough what we have so far, so let's close it. And can we actually look at our customer? Have we achieved what we wanted to reach for our customer? Now, Christian, well, it's difficult because the world has changed, so let's put it aside and we'll start a new project. Okay, good. So clearly moving from projects to products where we implement, and we have heard that earlier, cross-functional teams that are empowered to make decisions was one of our key initiatives. Yeah, and we recently, in our all-staff update on BOM level, we made the clear commitment to all of our 1,000 employees, we are willing to put decision-making authority to the lowest possible level. Again, you can say that in a nice town hall presentation, but how do you get people to pick it up? We'll come to that in a minute. So let's get everyone on the second thing that we learned is culture. Culture is certainly, if I ask 10 people, I have 11 definitions for the sake of that presentation, and our definition is how do we work together? If we have a silo mentality, that is clearly the dial to turn. How do we measure? How do we engage? Yeah? How do we make decisions? This is for us, let's say, what we subset under the definition of culture. And the third thing is to think big but start small, right? Again, going back to projects, we don't want to lock ourselves for 3 years in a room. We want to deliver bi-weekly new customer propositions, and we want to receive real end-user feedback after 2 weeks, which can be an exhausting process. Yeah, you need to bring your organization to think in that way. You need to bring your organization in a form that they are able to shape things into bi-weekly deliveries, yeah, which is quite difficult, and we are still working on this. But these were the 3 key elements how we tried to implement a new structure, driving a new behavior that clearly needed to come from the top, from senior management, starting from BOM level, starting from my level, because I can't expect that people change if I'm not showing that on a day-to-day basis. So what we have done then in IT, we looked at our company strategy, we defined a so-called strategic roadmap, and I was a bit exaggerating with the statement. I said, I want to run IT as a business. Yeah, and this goes back to the fact that if you look who are becoming all the billionaires today, it's all the IT guys. Yeah, it's all these tech and software companies. So I wanted to understand my colleagues. They should run their responsibility as it would be their own company. They should be the entrepreneurs of that organization, right? If they see waste, if they would on a private basis not invest the money, then also don't do it in the company, right? So we try to foster that culture and that thinking. How we have done that? We have under that strategy, we have implemented 5 themes in the beginning: stability, innovations, product and services, managed by numbers, and people and culture. Where we gave everyone technology, we gave everyone a transparent Jira backlog, and my employees have worked out 280 ideas, which are now on our board, which we on a day-to-day basis is visible. Everyone is commenting at to say, Christian, if we want to make the company better, here are the 280 things that we need to do. We are trying to practice that new way of working. We are meeting on a monthly basis, yeah, where my direct liners acting as a product owners, and together with their teams, they are talking about where have they been successful, what have they learned, what were the impediments, and they make decisions for the next, what is important for the next 4 weeks. So everyone has now an open platform and a voice to bring in whatever they think is necessary. Because I always told them, you feel the daily pressure, right? The customer is calling you, he's only escalating to me. You know what's best for that organization because you have to manage customers on a day-to-day basis. So let me know what you need rather than I tell you. If I need to find out what your problem is, I'm asking you 50 stupid questions, which you all hate me for because it takes time. You think, my goodness, is my CIO a dump? Why is he not getting it? But I can't scale. I'm not more intelligent than 1,000 employees. So creating that open platform where people could bring in their ideas was extremely valuable. Actively seeking feedback, I mentioned that earlier. By far not nice, yeah, but you need to start somewhere, and you can't ignore if someone is saying you are slow, I don't know whom to talk, and you are expensive. So what have we done? I have interviewed in the beginning, I think, 50, 60 first liners, direct liners across the company, even employees on the phone. I invited them to lunch and so on. I said, what do you think about IT? What would you change if you would be the CIO? I started then to play a game which my people do not really like me for, so I handed out vouchers to our business colleagues. Which if you carefully think, why the hell is the CIO let's say, violating his or not following his own processes, right? Because we have a demand management process and so on in place. But clearly, there was obviously something wrong because everyone told me, Christian, we are customer focused, yeah? But everyone that I talked to the 50 and 60 people, they have mentioned things that were not on our list. So is it because they could not measure it, we couldn't express the value, and there is a bit of both, yeah? But again, coming back to these startups, they're saying, look, or start everything from the outcome that you want to derive. So let's say a customer doesn't care how our organization is set up, if we have a silo mentality, if business is good, IT is bad, or is IT is good and business is bad. That is completely irrelevant. Yeah? That doesn't matter at all. So therefore, that feedback was important. As I said, we talked to other companies. There we learned a lot. We also open up in the community. So we are supporting, let's say, several meetup events in our office. Even last Saturday, I was have opened together with my developers a so-called unconference. So things are getting really crazy in these days, but okay, it is what it is. I'm more than happy to talk you through that approach. And the most powerful thing that we have done to break down walls and to get everyone on the pitch was we created 2 product teams from 1st of January onwards for three customer propositions, where I said, as a CIO, I don't have any problem when I will leave once I leave the company if my IT department is only half the size, if the company is achieving the right things. You will most probably hear not many CIOs who are saying that, especially in traditional organization where it's all about size and kingdom. But I said, I have no problem. So what we have done is we moved 10 to 15 IT colleagues over into our commercial area, and they were sitting there. So we said, dear my lovely product owner, from a commercial area, you will not be on the stand anymore. You will be right next to me on the same pitch, and we are running now together. We are providing structure, yeah, the linesman, the referee, the rules, yeah, so that means we have hired RTE, we have organized quarterly reviews, PI events, we hired scrum masters, and so on and so on. That was my responsibility to bring that structure. Once again, we also have a responsibility not only for security and change, and not only for stability and compliance, but also for delivering change, making that company relentlessly better on a day-to-day basis, and not bigger. So with that approach, 10 to 15 people went over there, sitting there, and these people making me happy on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. Because there's such a buzz, there's such a vibe, how they are working together. They're even starting in the evening now to play football together and so on and so on. You might can laugh about these small things, but it actually shows that they are becoming a real team and helping each other and working with each other, which is fantastic. And I'm absolutely proud of these guys, right? So again, this is tons of structure and so on and so on. Again, that is something you can tell them and you can say you need to sit there and so on and so on. But how do you get people to really live and breathe it? And we have implemented a topic called cultural hack, which I have seen at one of the Gartner conferences, and I'm absolutely loving it, and I could easily talk for the rest of the day about it. A cultural hack is something that is low effort, less than a day, that doesn't cost it. I would say 80% of the things doesn't cost any money. It's highly visible, huge impact, and it's emotional. People change for emotional reason and not for intellectual ones. So, like an hacker who is very opportunistic, try to find the weakest point in the thing you want to optimize, you want to change. Let's take meeting culture. I've never heard of someone who said, I wish I would have more meetings, right? I guess that applies to you as well. So one of my favorite cultural hacks is that you announce the meeting minute taker right at the end of the meeting. Because that forces, it's a bit mean, I know that, but it forces the people to listen and to contribute. Because normally people come in with their cell phone, with their laptop, and they're coming late, they're dropping out, and so on. This is unpolite. I'm admitting here in front of my colleagues, because I'm sure that they will later on put things on me. I'm still doing that. I apologize hereby. This is not right, and I will do get better. So this is recorded, guys, so mention it. But if you carefully think about it, we also said everyone is allowed to cancel 2 meetings in the next 4 weeks. You will see the impact is nearly zero. If someone has an important topic, he will definitely come to your desk. You discuss it for 15 minutes. You still won 1 hour 45 minutes. Other things that we have done, we have put an extra chair into meeting rooms, labeled them customer. When someone is jumping on that seat, the discussion has to stop. As long as our colleague / the customer jumps off the chair again, right? Email culture. So if you drop me an email, you will get an out-of-office response because I agreed with my direct line, and we are doing that since 4 or 5 months. We do a stand-up every morning from 9:05 to 9:25. Everyone has 3 minutes. What's the day about? The rest of the week about? Where do you need help? And then afterwards, we'll shut up and go to work. From 9:30 to 10, and from 4:30 to 5, I am allowed to write emails. In between, I'm not allowed to. Yeah, my out of office is saying, swing by, make an appointment, call me, or ping me via Skype or whatever, right? So it's all about getting into more communication, into more direction, and so on, right? So I have tons of more of, I think we collected now a list of 60 to 80 cultural hacks. Great ideas like a day in the life of a CIO, where we invited one of our junior developers. Let's call him Jamie, yeah? So my people know what I'm talking about, because I came into that company and I have the problem that I can't remember all names. So I called someone 3-4 months Jamie. Until then he was brave enough to say, well, I'm actually David. My goodness, why the hell have you not told me earlier? But okay, anyway. So he took over my job for a day, and we filmed that, yeah? He also thought he could fire someone, which we immediately undo, right? So just to be very clear. But this had a positive effect, so you need to open as a leader. That is brutally important. I see we only have 3 minutes, but I can easily talk you through much more ideas. How do we do breakfast together, writing thank you cards, reading them out loud in the auditorium once a quarter. Yeah, I also said, I want you to innovate. I want you to be disruptive, and you don't ask me for approval. You rather ask for forgiveness than approval. It has only happened 3 times, but people picking more up on that. Good. I was told that everyone knows what that really means. Yes, hopefully you are laughing, so that's okay, because with my German mindset, I didn't thought about that enough. I sent out an email with that word. I came out of my office because I was running into another meeting, was already preparing, and people were standing in front of me and were giggling. What is it that I have done wrong again? Tell me, please. You can't write such emails. That was before we started with the email hack. I'm writing 150 emails per day. What the hell can I not do? Which email? Yeah, that F word. I said, come on, I don't have enough time. I need to go to the next meeting. Yeah, that F word. Can I not? Okay. Then HR came over and said, Christian, you can't do that. I said, what can I not do? You are very cryptic in that organization and your culture. You need to help me. I'm the German from headquarters. I said, we debated then 4 weeks and came up with the word fudge up, which is all right. If you Google it, you will see it's a global movement that started 2012 in Mexico. It's even happening in London, I think in St. Pancras, where people talk about their biggest mistakes. I have done that, and I was very open. I have worked in my previous role like health. I even got twice hearing losses, and I even worked harder to get over it, and so on and so on. That has really helped to shape a new culture and a new behavior, and so on and so on. And the instant reaction was that we have done that 2 months later, and 4 people also shared their own personal stories. We're coming nearly to an end. We only have 1.5 minutes. Leadership. My simple definition of leadership at the end is our employees bringing value on a day-to-day basis. They are making the company better on a day-to-day basis. They are coding, they are testing, they are setting up a tool chain, they are assessing credit risks, they have customers on the phone, they are doing the real job. We as leaders need to make them successful on a day-to-day basis. We need to remove their impediments. We need to act as coaches. Again, nicely said, but how do you bring your people there? Because especially, and in one of the earlier discussions it was mentioned, the middle management I think, is suffering most under the traditional way of working that we have implemented. Because they get pressure from the employees. I don't have enough capacity. My contractor is not coming back. You're not supporting me. Where's my career path? And they get pressure from us. So clearly working with these guys, what we are doing, we are meeting every 6 to 8 weeks for 2 to 3 hours and talking about how should your diary look like. Sounds absolutely strange, right? That you talk to a bunch of people about diary. Can I have 1 more minute? You can have 1 more. Thanks. Talking about their diaries, but I said, do me a favor, spend 50% of your time for your employees. I know that's difficult. You are not there to make subject matter related decisions. That is not your job. That is not what I'm paying you for. You need to act as a coach. You need to make your employees better on a day-to-day basis by inviting them for a coffee, acting with empathy, going over in the morning, simply ask them, how are you? Plus, take care of your own career. I want you to spend 20% of your time for learning, for getting better, going out, find people who are much better than you are. Yeah, like people like Barry O'Reilly, Jonathan Smart, whatever, go to them, learn from them, find a startup and try to challenge yourself. It's hard, but you will see it's the right way forward because business agility means for us, it's a sense and capability to adapt to market changes much more quickly. That is our definition. So just to close the presentation, and we talked about outcomes, one thing I'm absolutely proud of, product teams, it's very easy for them to measure business outcomes, but we also achieve that in other areas. IT services are normally the guys who are a bit left behind when it comes to transformations. You need to see their stability report. Normally we are saying you are allowed to have 6 priority 1 incidents. Someone said 9 is good. You have done an awesome job. If you go over to your business at well, Christian had 6 outages last month, horrible. Their first slide deck of their stability report says, how often have I paid dealers on time? Which is brilliant stuff, because you don't need to be an IT guy to understand that. It sounds so simple. We very often fear simplicity, but simplicity in these days, where everything is connected and difficult and 24/7, is actually really key. So unfortunately, we are running out of time, but I would be more than happy to talk with you let's say via LinkedIn, or would be happy if you have time to join us in one of our next quarterly review sessions to hear about your stories, share more about how we manage leadership, and share with you more, let's say, examples about our culture. Thank you very much for listening.